It's okay. Okay. Break time, LARP story. Alright, my dear friends. Alright, my dear friends. This story is the story of what happens when you delve into dangerous places and you put yourself up against deadly, horrible things. It's a very interesting story that really doesn't have me involved in it in any way other than that I watched it happen. But holy shit, was it cool! Dungeon, or actually, no, I was involved in this. Never mind. The dungeon, because I'll tell the part leading up to it too, so then you get the whole picture of like the dungeon. So the dungeon, quote unquote, the museum, is separated into like wings, so to speak, and separated into like sections and map sections that have these like connecting rooms. You know what I mean? And they need to get to the vaults, and the vaults all house these like progenitors of stuff. You know, like there's the human vault, and the undead vault, and the Fey vault, and the construct vault. You know, these vaults with like these like boss monsters basically that are in them. And fantastic loot, obviously. But so the first one they went to was the human vault. And the human vault, the curator said, is the place that houses Lucy, the first murderer. The first murderer. It's an ancient museum, and it houses Lucy, the first murderer, in the human vault. Cool. So they decided that was where they were going to go first. And to get there, they had to go through this corridor of traps. And we set up, like, chairs and tables and tarps and stuff to create small corridors. And then we had, like, NPCs with scything axes, you know, that would, like, chop on a rhythmic timer, so to speak, to like, create, like, swinging pendulums and stuff. Or we'd have NPCs with packets who would, like, sit out of game and, like, throw packets if the people touched certain parts of the floor. Like, that kind of stuff, you know, like, trap activation stuff, regular dungeony trap stuff, which is really fun to do because it's like not the way that LARP usually operates. It doesn't usually happen that way, and like usually you fight stuff, you don't have to avoid stuff. So we had sort of like a trap corridor, which was really awesome. And watching people navigate it was super cool. And at the end of the trap section was the mod that I wrote. I wrote a mod for this because I was on the NPC team and they asked me to write something for the event, like a room, quote unquote. Because it's a big museum and a dungeon, so there's going to be rooms with, like, stuff. And the end of this trap hallway was the mod that I wrote, which is just a tiny little mod. There are 3 doors. There are 3 doors. You may choose to go through any door you wish, but if you go through the wrong door, you are inflicted with a curse of pain. Now, curse of pain is a horrible spell, because basically what it does is for the next 10 minutes, or the next hour after you get hit by it, you take 5 damage every time you swing your weapon. So basically it makes fighting really, really, really hard, super impossible to do. You know what I mean? Because every time you swing your weapon, you take 5 damage. It's the curse of pain. So there's 3 doors. You have to pick the right door. If you don't go through the right door, you take a curse of pain. That's how it works. And I played a ghost. Just a ghost of a former tomb robber, so to speak, a former museum adventurer, who's like just hanging out there. And if you can see ghosts, you can see him. And he's like, or you know, she, whatever. It's a ghost. It's not really important. They are like, best way to put it. I know how to get through this trap. I know how to get through these doors. I know which doors are the right doors. You gotta pick which door you want to go through. And you can pick all you want. But I know the answer. I am the ghost that knows the answer. But I'm not just gonna tell you, because it's been a really boring 1,000 years just hanging out here near my corpse. Like, point over at corpse, you know. So I'll give you the answers if you can answer riddles for me. You answer the right riddle, I'll tell you the door. We'll do that 3 times. You get through all 3 sections of these doors. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be great. So, who wants to go first? You know? And there's this whole bundle of people. And I'm like, only one of you may answer each riddle. I am not going to crowdsource the answer. You must choose a person who will listen to the riddle and answer it. No help from any friends. Who's first? You know, like that kind of stuff. And so I told 3 riddles, and they went through 3 doors. They got 1 wrong, so 1 person ate a curse of pain. But otherwise, they got through. My riddles were, for those of you who are interested in what I wrote the riddles to be. Let me think. Taken for free all your life, but given but once at birth. It is lighter than a feather, but would fell the strongest of you if held. That's the first riddle. I'll wait and see if anybody in chat answers. Then the second riddle is... They dance and jump as you move. Dress yourself in the darkest black, and they are darker still. They flee from the light, but without the sun, there would be none. What am I? And the third riddle was, I am your most valuable possession. If you have me, you'll want to share me. But if you share me, you no longer have me. Those were the 3 riddles. Yeah. In order, the answers are breath, shadows, and secrets. Breath, shadows, and secrets for those riddles. And then, there are other answers for the last one, but I went with secrets as the answer I wanted. And yeah, so they got through that. And then they were entered into the vault of the first murderer. And so they came in, and they were standing in the entrance. And the room is empty. It is empty, like dead empty, except for a chair in the center of the room with my dear friend Tammy sitting in it to play Lucy, the first murderer. And she's sitting there with her head down and her hair's all crazy, and she's wearing like a burlap sack basically, and she's got like a club or a stick or something in her hand, and she's like looking down like at her toes basically, sitting in this chair. And there's like a light directly on her but nowhere else. And they step in, and you know, people get cocky, and they're like, okay, let's fight, you know, like they move forward towards the vault, the actual exhibit, which breaks the stasis that she's under, and she looks up, and her face is like covered in blood, like all this fake blood just like all the way down her face, like everywhere. And then there's a descriptive hold and like a talk about the room where it's like, on the walls is just like crazy ramblings written in blood everywhere around the room, and like, you know, shit and horrible, like crazy, yeah, just bad. It's a bad situation. It's a bad setup. Like, this is a person you don't want to fuck with, you know? But so they step into the room and the door closes, bang, and and they end up in a fight with the first murderer. It's like 1 versus 12, and they're not winning. It's like 1 versus 12, and she is fucking them up. Like, they have to be so defensive, because every single swing that she swung was either a decapitate or a slay. Now, a decapitate is 10 body damage, and it puts you directly into your bleed count. You lose your head. Fucking dead. Basically, like, right away, 1 hit. You get hit by a decapitate, dead. Slay is 50 damage. 50 fucking damage. A hit. Basically. So every time she swung, she was like, you are not prepared, 50 slay. You are not prepared, 10 body decapitate. You are not prepared, 50 slay. And just like chasing them around the room, fucking at will just swinging these massively powerful abilities. Yeah, if you don't block, you fucking die. But yeah, so she's murdering the shit out of them, basically. But she gets slow poisoned or slow death by one of the alchemists in the group, and she doesn't have any defense for that. So she's like choking out, basically, and that's how she died. Without that, I think they would have been fucked. Because the damage appeared to be doing nothing to her, basically. PSA for all LARPers, though, like, this was one of those encounters where it was very dangerous and very high stakes, and she was very dangerous, and the players were getting nervous, so they were, like, swinging harder and, like, you know, like, a little faster and, like, being a little hot and heavy with the rules, so to speak. Don't let your adrenaline get the better of you. These situations, you still need to restrain yourself. It's 1 versus 12. If 12 people are hitting someone, even with fake weapons, if you're scared and swinging hard, it's gonna hurt them. Don't do that, please. I saw it, and Tammy, like, had to call a hold and be like, yo, check swing. Like, everybody calm down, you know? Sort of thing. And she never does that. She's a tough lady. She never does that. So, like, you know, PSA, it's a game. You know? It's dangerous and scary, and you're worried for your character, and you're worried for your character's life, but, like, don't hurt people out of game for it. You know what I mean? It's shitty. But it was such a cool encounter. Her swinging fucking decapitates just, like, constantly. It's so scary. And there was one point where one of the players was like, with +6 strength, I hold you. And there was this pause. There's this pause, and Tammy looks up over at Wes, who's the other shaper, and goes, Wes, how much strength do I have? Like, she can't remember her stat, you know what I mean? Or, like, they didn't assign it or whatever. I was like, Wes, how much strength do I have? And Wes goes, 20. And she just goes, BAM! Like, busts out of the 6 strength and decapitate behind her. Like, decapitate, like, just wrecking people. Like, 20 strength is more than any player can, like, fucking muster. Like, it's way more. But yeah, so the first murderer died, eventually. I think she got, like, 1 or 2 decapitates off on people. Like, people fell over. It was pretty fucking good. It was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool encounter. Super, super cool. And it was like a precursor for things to come when it came to the other vaults, right? This was the first one they decided to go to. This set the power level. You know? This was basically saying, like, this is how deadly these things are. This is how dangerous they are. Do not fuck with them. You know? Anyway, let's go back to Monster Hunter and do a hunt. Alright, hunting time.